Hi, my name's Alexis Thrash, and today I'll be presenting my project study over the correlation between perceived parenting styles and anxiety. Um, Scientists have long studied the different effects perceived parenting styles have on children, and they can vary a lot. Studies over perceived parenting styles have been plentiful, mainly focusing on one specific age group, though, whether that's adolescents or young adults. I do believe that's important, but I also wanted to see a perspective from a society as a whole when it came to perceived parenting and anxiety. For this reason, my study group ages range very widely. Um, It's important to look at the four types of parenting styles when seeing if they have a correlation to anxiety or not. There's authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and neglectful. These play a huge part in how the child views um, what kind of parent they are towards them. Many other studies have also correlated different mental disorders, such as eating disorders or things like that, to perceived parenting, and that's very important too. Um, my hypothesis before gathering data was that perceived parenting styles would have a huge impact on anxiety, um, uh, no matter how old the person was. So whether they were 60 taking the survey or whether they were 16 taking the survey, um, that the perceived parenting styles would have had the same effect. Um, in order to gather my data, I used the Google Forms, and I also used social media accounts to gain participants. Um, Before taking the survey, they did have to say that they would take the survey and say I had to inform them that they would be able to get out of the study if it was necessary. Um, After gathering my results, I had 52 participants in total. 40 of them were female and 12 of them were male. Um, Participants were asked questions pertaining to the last month about how they dealt with anxiety. For this measure, I used the Beck Anxiety Inventory. Um, this inventory consists of 21 questions or items with the answers ranging from 0 to 3. Um, being I being 0, I didn't deal with this at all, or 3 being I dealt with this and it was very concerning for me. Um, the next sections were the mother and the father form for the parental bonding instrument. Um, for this one, it was the exact same questions for both the mother and the father in order to get a better understanding of the parenting as a whole. The scale measurements were categorized into two different labels to accurately evaluate the level of bonding that a parent had with the child. The two different labels were care and protection. Obviously, for the mother, um, the care score was higher and protection was as well. Um, they both were an average of in the 20s as a good standing score for a mother or a father. Um, After scoring that, the parent then can be accurately placed into the four quadrants of what kind of parent they are, whether they're authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, or neglectful. Um, in order for this instrument to fit into the study that I was doing, I had to combine both the mother and the father scoring into one number. Um, so I took out the categories for that, and I just combined it into one full number for the optimal parenting number. After calculating, I came up that a good PBI number would be a 77 for parenting, no matter if they were authoritative, permissive, neglectful. Um, I also used a covariate in my study, which was age, in order to just see whether age had a huge effect or whether it didn't have a huge effect in my study. And then I used a multiple regression because the age was so broad. My results showed that perceived parenting was actually not a predictor of anxiety, and that my hypothesis was very incorrect. The research showed that the higher the parental bonding instrument was, actually, the more anxiety that a student or a participant had. I'm sorry. Age, however, seemed to be a huge predictor with a p-value of 0.01. So, according to the results, actually, the older a person got, the less anxiety that they had. Excuse me. I have the figure 1 shown right here on my PowerPoint. This one shows the parenting in correlation with the anxiety. And as you can see, the higher the parenting, the higher the anxiety. And the parenting scores, the higher the score, the better the parenting, in small terms. And so that was very interesting. And then figure 2 here shows that the age, the higher the age goes, the lower the anxiety. So age was significant and showed that the older someone got, the less anxiety that they recorded in the surveys. This study related to many other studies and possibly gave more information on age than the parenting styles. The study was different from a lot of studies in that it did provide a broader age, but this could also have caused many flaws in the study, as well as using the PBI as one of my instruments. It was highly possible that these results could have been skewed because the older people got, they had to rely purely on memories. So a 16-year-old could have, they still live with their parents most likely. They could have spouted out everything wrong in that moment because it directly relates to their feelings and what they're feeling. But as you get to a person who is 60, they have to recall how they felt when they were that age, and that can be very difficult, and that can very much skew my results. And they might have made up with their parents or not feel that anxiety anymore, which is why the older they get, the less anxiety that they have relating to just the parenting. Another flaw that could have skewed the results greatly was how the scale was set up in the PBI. For some questions, the scale would say 0 was good and 3 was bad. And then for other questions, it would say 0 was bad and 3 was good. It was very tricky with the mother and the father form. So if you miscalculated or didn't read fully, then all of your answers could have been skewed. They could have easily scored many of the answers wrong. For future research studying age and how that relates to anxiety would be a good start into looking at the whole picture with anxiety and age. The parental bonding instrument was a good instrument for evaluating mother and father, but as far as evaluating it with anxiety, I do think that me having to kind of categorize different things into one whole group might have skewed the results a little bit for this result. So overall, my hypothesis was incorrect, and according to the graphs, it was incorrect. I do think further research needs to be done, and that this study might have been skewed just from the data that I have seen and the numbers that I pulled from JASP when I entered those numbers. So yeah, thank you very much.